Welcome back to Community Matters. We're discussing shopping locally for your goods and services. And joining me now is Sean Wilson. He's the Chief Executive Optimist at Fullsteam Brewery in downtown Durham. Thanks for being here, Sean.
Thanks, Gail. It's great to be here.
Well, listen, Fullsteam Brewery, when you say brewery, everyone's going to be like perking up and listening because beer has a lot of fans. We were just talking a little bit ago about the whole Broogaloo thing that they do with Shop Local Raleigh. And obviously, your company is, I assume, part of that, or at least helps in some way.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell us about, Fullsteam. One, I have to ask the question, the backwards F. This is just inquiring minds want to know.
Sure.
Was that just a logo, trick, or does it mean something?
You want the short version or the long version?
Uh-oh, okay, we only got a few minutes, so give me the
short version is because you asked. It's more fun that way,
Yeah.
The longer version involves my love of the past looking forward. So we're full steam ahead with a sense of purpose and optimism, but we're also looking to the back to our history in the South. So
see?
it's that dualism.
I kind of thought that. So
Nice.
we're on the same level.
Excellent.
Yeah. But I do love that. So it sounds to me it's a fun company. I mean, obviously beer, it was got to be so serious, but it sounds like a fun company. And I know that you seem to care quite a bit about, we're talking about buying locally. Obviously, you want folks to purchase your beer here locally and take part in that. But you also buy locally when you get your ingredients and stuff to make the beer.
Absolutely. We call ourselves a plow to pint brewery, and we love the fact that we're buying local ingredients to support a southern beer economy. And so for beer, that's a lot of non-traditional beer ingredients. We do buy local grain, but we're also buying sweet potatoes, basil, and even persimmons.
Okay. We want to talk about the persimmons. As a matter of fact, I saw a little short video that was done on your persimmon beer, which is your first frost.
That's right.
Beer. Tell us about persimmons. I'm not the biggest beer drinker, but I do enjoy the ciders and with the little fruit flavoring. So when I read that, I said, hey, this might be something I'd like to try. Although I'm a person who's never had a persimmon, and I know you think that's crazy. So what was the whole mindset about? Yeah, persimmon. We're going to do beer made of that flavor.
I've lived in the South for over 20 years, and I used to work at Magnolia Grill, a landmark restaurant in Durham. And Karen Barker there, the chef and co-owner, made persimmon pudding, and that's where I first fell in love with native persimmons. There's two types of persimmons, the Asian variety and the ones in the wild that grow here in people's backyards and out in the field. And those are the ones that we love. And we actually go out into the field and collect them. And because there's only so much persimmons that we can find and we know how to get, we actually encourage our tavern patrons, friends, and neighbors to go out and gather those persimmons, and then we pay them a market rate, about $2.50 a pound, for them to bring us that harvest, and then we make a beer. So it involves buying locally, sourcing locally, and making a distinctly Southern beer.
Well, that's nice because it's sort of like you're coming full circle. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're a local merchant and you're helping other folks. Maybe people who might not normally, think, okay, the young lady, Angel Elliott, I saw in the video, she had a big persimmon tree, couldn't use all of them, and now she's making a little profit off of the tree that just happened to be in her yard.
It's very rewarding, absolutely, to give a little bit of money back to the economy while we eke out a little bit of a living for ourselves, and then also sort of tangentially to get folks like you who aren't familiar with persimmons to discover that and fall in love with it, hopefully, and discover, a native flavor that's unique to our region. That's another neat little thing about what we do, and we do it through, of all things, beer.
Yeah, well, you won't get a lot of argument out of folks with that. Now, how long has Fullsteam been around?
We're 4 years old now.
Oh, okay, it's not big. Again, you're kind of like, the 5 year with the Shop Local Jennifer,
Yeah,
you're kind of that same
exactly.
area.
We call ourselves in the awkward teenage years still. Yeah, we
Well,
hope to grow in time.
Well, for businesses, you do have to put those first few years in there just kind of plugging away until, start seeing. So how is Fullsteam doing?
We're doing really well. We have our first canned offering, Kakalaki, which is a ginger pale ale. Actually, half of the ginger in that beer is North Carolina grown. So I never knew there was a North Carolina ginger industry, but there is.
I'm learning so much from you.
Isn't it fun? And so we get to buy local ginger, help a farmer, encourage the development of the Southern beer economy, and make something a little different and unique in the process. Because with over 100 breweries in North Carolina, it is important to distinguish yourself and differentiate.
I was going to say the craft beer industry is very popular now, and people are trying that as opposed to the Budweisers and the things like that. And so it must be, now you've got the competition.
Absolutely. There's always been competition. The great thing about North Carolina and its craft beer scene is that it's incredibly collaborative. So if we're running out of grain or if we're short on cleaning supplies, we'll call up one of our neighbors and vice versa. We'll trade information. We've got a great Brewers Guild at ncbeer.org just doing a wonderful job to keep us positive and looking at the fact that we're about 8% of the market. And when it comes to beer consumption, that is, drinking local beer. So there's a lot of room to grow.
Well, tell us how folks can go over to Fullsteam. Give us your information. Where you guys located and all that good stuff.
You bet. Yeah, we're in downtown Durham, just north of downtown on 726 Rigsby. If it's beer drinking time, we're open. And you can find me personally on Twitter at Fullsteam. And of course, we've got the Facebook and usual social media outlets as well.
And then you'll be at Broogaloo, of course. Right?
Yes, yeah. Part of supporting local is being involved in the festivals, especially those that emphasize and celebrate North Carolina craft beer.
I tell you, Sean, I look forward to trying the Persimmon beer. And if you have anything with any other kind of fruits, I'll try. And maybe the sweet potato, that might be kind of interesting too.
Come for a tasting. I think you'll be
Oh,
surprised.
and you have those too as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
And our
okay.
focus isn't to be novel or over the top.
Mm-hmm.
We really work hard to do subtle flavors that work well with food. So
Oh.
nothing too wacky.
Okay, well, I like food, so we'll get along fine.
Awesome.
Well, listen, thanks a lot for coming, Sean.
Thank you.
And you stay tuned. You'll find out how to fix that coffee craving with some locally roasted beans.